Evening, everyone. Um, Good to see you. Good to see you. Just waiting for folk to join here. I know it's really late at night, but I haven't been on this form of broadcasting for so long, and I'm just trying to reaffiliate myself with everything here. Hoping you can hear me loud and clear. But good to see you. Good to see everyone. I know it's late at night, but I felt it would come on. I felt I would begin again. Yes, begin again. Just waiting for folk to come on. But then again, folk might not come on because you haven't been on. Isn't that right? Felt I would begin again. Yeah. Just checking, testing, everything's working well. Listen, let's cut to the chase. Good to see you all. I've been feeling for a while now that I needed to come on and share my heart and hopefully his. Hopefully, when we share our hearts, we are sharing his heart. Um, that evidently is what we're up to and what we're all about. And I feel like there's a grace for this. But one thing I wanted to discuss for a moment, and maybe you'd take this journey with me. I know there's been a lot of issues around church leadership at the moment. We know that's a worldwide problem. It's not just allocated here to the UK or anything like that, but it is an issue here in Northern Ireland, Ireland, UK. Sometimes we sometimes we see these things happening across the pond in America, um, and maybe we're not affiliated with the fact, or maybe I'm not aware of the fact that actually there's a lot of stuff going on here too in Northern Ireland, especially centered around church leadership and spiritual abuse and things like that. And maybe I'm talking to someone tonight and you've been affected by things like spiritual abuse, you've been affected by stuff that has deeply wounded you and deeply hurt you. And so I'm going to take a wee bit of a journey and I'm going to read a book with you all and basically read a chapter of this book. And I would love, like, it's a passion and a desire of mine that every church leader in Northern Ireland, Ireland, UK would read this specific book that we're going to read together. Now, I'm not going to read a chapter tonight, just introducing this, but this book is entitled A Tale of Three Kings, A Tale of Three Kings. And it literally describes the journey of Saul, King David, and Absalom, who was David's son. And you've got three different individuals from three different generations who invariably walk out this thing called leadership, all right, whatever that is, whatever that looks like. And it's written by a guy called Gene Edwards. It's probably back to front. A guy called Gene Edwards. The writing's probably back to front, that's what I mean. But this was written in the early 1980s, and it was written specifically to help those who were caught up in what was called the heavy shepherding movement. And one of the prominent Bible teachers in that, of course, was a man called Derek Prince. Some of you may know him and have been profoundly shaped and helped by his teaching. And so this was written as an aid to folk who were deeply traumatized and wounded in the midst of that movement, that heavy shepherding movement. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can Wikipedia, you can Google that, find out for yourself. the whole context of that and the great damage that was caused to people by this particular movement. And this guy then, Gene Edwards, wrote a book on the back of that, and basically to help those who were coming out of that movement, who were literally devastated. I mean, broken, guys, because of what happened and transpired. And it almost feels like this guy was ahead of the curve. He wrote a book ahead of time, because now if you read this book, especially those who have been affected deeply by spiritual abuse, but again, it's a real aid to church leaders. As I say, he specifically charts the life of a King Saul, and what his leadership looked like and how he finished. He charts the life then of David and how Saul's leadership impacted David, and then how David led and finished. And then, of course, then the third generation. So you have 1, 2, 3 generations. The third generation then, of course, was Absalom, and how his leadership, or his attempt to lead, how it impacted the nation and how it impacted David. And more importantly is this, and it's the staggering thing when you read this book, it's David's response to Absalom. And again, it's David's response to King Saul as well. Because I do feel in this land, and I'm not trying to be genuinely negative or critical in any way. I'm just being real about the thing, I suppose, and being honest that my experience in church leadership hasn't always been good. Let's put it, it's putting it mildly. And what I've experienced a lot of the time is either King Saul or Absalom. I have yet to encounter a David. I think I've maybe encountered 1 or 2, but they're few and far between, let me tell you. Mostly it's King Saul or it's Absalom. So basically, the heart of this wee journey that we're going to take together is basically reading through this book, a chapter at a time, and commenting on it. Now, you'll be very pleased to hear there's quite a few chapters, but they are very, very short, like literally 1 page, maybe 2 at most. And so we can read through this and make a few comments. And again, if anything resonates with you, if anything's helpful, if anything speaks to your heart, please email. If I can get these working. Yeah. You can send your questions into the chat, or you can email. Hope you can see that. Yeah, there it is. Email pioneerspath747@gmail.com. And I would be very, very glad to respond and to answer any of your questions. But I just thought I would come on just to say, yes, we are back, we are live, and we're going to take a deep dive into some of these issues, because I think now is a good time to be talking about it, because there is a shaking going on in all of our institutions, but especially in the institution of the church. And it's how we navigate that, it's how we walk through that. And I just hope that this book and the reading of this book and the discussion around it will be a benefit to you all. If you like, I would recommend buying one yourself, very cheap, Amazon, 3-4 quid, A Tale of Three Kings by Gene Edwards. I know it's back to front, but that's the book. So God bless you all. Thank you for tuning in. There's actually a few folk on. Would you believe it? There's a few folk on. Good to see you. Thank you so much. And God bless you, as I said, and I will chat to you all soon.